Well, welcome YouTube friends and family to today's edition of the Wellness Homesteader. So, as promised, today we are going to do just a quick peruse of some of my favorite vintage cookbooks. I hope you'll stay tuned. When you think of vintage cookbooks, I think what often comes to mind is Betty Crocker. And if y'all haven't seen it, I will try to link it at the end, the history of Betty Crocker. It's quite interesting. And while I do have a lot of Betty Crocker cookbooks, that was not the only cookbook to rise to great importance and I'll say fame from the 30s to the 50s and onward. Actually, Betty Crocker was 50s. So one of my most favorite, and I'm going to keep saying that, y'all, so just be prepared, are these cooking magic cookbooks. Now, these came with a binder and this little metal insert, which I guess I don't have it locked in there appropriately. You would hook in all of these little booklets, and y'all, there is a little bit of everything in here. I don't know exactly how many booklets there were because I'm not sure of the numbering system. I tried to do the research on it, and I could not find. But a lot of these are up over 100, but they may be started at 100. I don't know. So let me just show you some of the beautiful, look at this, guys. How long has it been since you've seen breakfasts made like that, right? I mean, maybe you do that. I would like to do that, but it's just me, so I don't do the big breakfast spread. So they have brunch, breakfast, and morning coffee. The lunchbox cookbook, so a little bit different than what we have today. And y'all look at the illustrations, and these were put out by the Culinary Arts Institute. Sunday night suppers, so you're starting to see a theme. Entertaining for 6 or 8. Elegant desserts, y'all, look, here is baked Alaska. Very neat. Tempting low-calorie recipes. And y'all, I do have a story time about dieting through the decades, we'll say, coming up. The cheese cookbook, cheese good. The holiday cookbook. The gourmet foods cookbook, which has 152 fabulous recipes for the gourmet. Cooking with sour cream and buttermilk. So they were very cuisine specific type booklets. Now, I actually have 2 of these. I have the one with the white cover, and then this one is not, as you see, I've got markers in here. This one's not in as good of shape. It's a little yellowed, I guess you would say. But, and I do have some duplications. But this is, oh, and I didn't show you this. See in the front, you could put in your own index. So this has a lot more other cuisine cookbooks in it. So I have the Scandinavian cookbook, the Hungarian cookbook, and again, I do have some duplicates, cooking for 6 or 8, and the cheese cookbook, because who could have too many cookbooks, right? Look at this. Cooling dishes for hot weather. So very specific. The New England cookbook. Sunday night suppers. The German and Viennese cookbook. Cooking with sour cream and buttermilk, which I have. The Southern and Southwestern cookbook. The low calorie. Guess they figured they should include that in every one. And then look, y'all, the holiday cookbook. So when I am going to have an event, or I just want something different, or it's a holiday, I don't always go to the holiday cookbook. But you can learn so much about cooking with specific ingredients by going back to some of the very, very basic cookbooks. I like them for the look, I like them for the nostalgia, but I also like them for inspiration for my own cooking. Now, a few of you who've been on the channel a while may remember when I was on the hunt for the Mary Margaret McBride cookbook. So for those of you who don't know Mary Margaret McBride, can I just call her Mary? Because that's going to be a lot easier. She was considered to be the first lady of radio, and she had a very successful radio show that was totally ad lib, so it wasn't scripted like the Betty Crocker one was. And so she became very famous for that, but she really spoke to homemakers and housewives and encouraged them in their daily journey of making a lovely home, lovely food, etc. This cookbook is huge, y'all. Yeah. It was sold in chapter forms, and y'all, I apologize, this thing is, my decor is rattling. It was sold in grocery stores, booklet by booklet. So this is another one of those that are put together, as you see the little rivets. So I just wanted to share, and these were like all mid-50s. ABCs for cooking, appetizers, snacks for parties and meals. Y'all, I don't know if I can do this organized. I'm just going to give you a couple here because there is no index. Bean bakes for parties and meals. You know, have we come full circle or what? Buffet meals. There's a Chinese cookbook. Dessert puddings, fish. Hamburger cookbook, high altitude cookery. Home bartender's guide, infant and child feeding. That would be interesting to peruse. Jiffy cooking, leftover cookbook, lunch boxes. Then this section is all about outdoor cookery. Pastry and pie book, pickling, preserving, and canning book, potato and sweet potato cookbook. Y'all, I should never want for a recipe, right? Salad book, salad dressing, sandwich book, sausage and gravy cookbook. Now, I love me a good gravy cookbook. Souffle manual, soups and chowders, special diet book. Yeah, I haven't even looked at that, obviously. I thought that there was one more. Well, in the back, it has a place where you can put your personal recipe notes. This does have a little bit of water damage, but look at the index, y'all. The index is like almost as big as a cookbook in and of itself. So this one has been a really fun one, not only to display, but to also peruse. So let's go on to what I have to say. Out of all of my cookbook collections, the one that I reach for the most, the one that I enjoy the most, happens to be Better Homes and Gardens, which you would think it would be Betty Crocker, but it's not. So Better Homes and Gardens started as, believe it or not, a 10-cent, 56-page recipe pamphlet. And one of their kind of claims to fame is this red and white checkerboard. So a little bit different than Betty Crocker, who had the red spoon, but you know, still eye-catchy. And one of the things that Better Homes and Gardens was known for are their specialty individual cookbooks. Now, y'all, I didn't bring them all out because I bet you I have 30 of them. And every time I see one I don't have, I'm like, I so need that. So lots of fun ones. One of the ones you've probably seen a lot is the Junior Cookbook. This is one of my newer purchases. I actually got this in a lot of cookbooks that I purchased on eBay. Yeah, I did. This was published in 1979, which was the year I graduated from high school. But I thought it was a really fun book because it tells you how to make a peanut butter sandwich. just really cute little different things. Hidden surprise salad, applesauce, pineapple carrot salad, potato salad. So simple things. So if I ever have a grandchild and not a grandcat, Frankie, okay? Y'all, I gotta tell you about Frankie too. Or if I just want to cook with other people's children, this is a fun one to have, and I thought it really kind of made my collection complete. My absolute favorite Better Homes and Gardens cookbook of all times is this one. And you've probably seen it sitting by my stove because I just love the cover of it. It's famous foods and famous places, and it's specialty of the house recipes from America's leading restaurants. So of course the first thing I did was like, there's got to be one, you know, relative to Ohio, and there is. Let me share that with you, if you can give me just a second. It's the Masonette, and they also have the Tavern Chop House. The Masonette is still in existence. What did that say? Sometimes I swear I have dyslexia, and I'm not making fun of anybody. So it's the Filet Mignon Princess. Excuse me. So it actually talks about the restaurant, and it gives you the recipe. Now this isn't written out like a traditional recipe. It's written in long form, but it has a béarnaise sauce. Might need that. And let me see if I can tell you, this was copyright 1964. So if you're gonna have a very special meal, a celebration, or you just like a certain restaurant, and y'all, I've literally eaten all over the world. Might like food a little bit. You might be able to find the recipe in here, and I love this book. I love to just read it too. I like to just read cookbooks. I know I'm weird. Another fun one, look at this. The Better Homes and Gardens Dessert Cookbook, because I like me some sweets. And what I also enjoy is when you get a cookbook used, of course, you know, like at a thrift store or at a Goodwill or whatever, and it has the person. This came from San Bernardino, California. I just want to share with you, this is copyright 1960. But look at these beautiful desserts, y'all. You know, I think one of the things that I don't do as well as, let's say, my mother did when she entertained, is having these beautiful displays. You know, about the fanciest I get sometimes is a charcuterie board. Another one of their specialty books is that I really enjoy is Lunches and Brunches, and it is copyright 1963. You seeing a theme here? There's their idea of a charcuterie board, but just the illustrations, y'all. It's so much fun when they draw. Well, a lot of these are pictures, but look, they even have like fancy butterballs on that. So neat. So neat. And then one that I've used quite a bit is the Holiday Cookbook. And this one was 1959, so it's a little bit older. Look at the illustrations, y'all. I would so love all those clothes. But this has anniversaries, foreign fairs, 345 party recipes, birthday, coffee, teas, buffets. So lots of great ideas. And I do utilize them when I'm having, you know, some type of event or a dinner or whatever. So you may think, well, gosh, what other kinds of mainstream cookbooks were there? I'm so glad you asked. I have to stand up to get them. So recently, y'all, remember that I did cook those delicious oatmeal muffins out of this Pillsbury Family Cookbook. This is also a more recent edition. I paid $4 for it. This was, it's 1963. Most of the pictures in here are of the actual food. There's not as many drawings. But look, y'all, how cute is that? So they have pretty much anything you could possibly want. And food for your family, guide to better cooking, appetizers, beverages, breads, cakes, frostings, fillings, candies, cookies, desserts, eggs and cheese, fish and seafood, lunch and supper, meat, poultry, game, outdoor, pastry, pies, salads, soups and sauces, vegetables, VIP cookery. So you might be wondering, what happened to these thematic type cookbooks or the small cookbooks? Why are they not in vogue anymore? And it's really pretty easy to understand, and it has to do with the onset of more industrialization of our food, convenience food, prepackaged food. People don't cook things. Not everyone cooks things from scratch anymore. I have to be careful how I say that because I still like to. But and also, you know, different appliances came to be, you know, we didn't have instant pots. And I remember in the 70s when the crock pot came out, like that was all the rage. So cookbooks have changed with the change in our food, with the change from home growing, home cooks, less people choosing to be stay-at-home moms or housewives, or are able to be stay-at-home. So our cookbooks have evolved as well. A magazine that I used to absolutely adore was the Family Circle magazine. And this was published, and sometimes people think that Betty Crocker was like the first. She totally wasn't. Family Circle was actually published from 1932 up to 2019. And I was like so bummed. But back when I was a young married person, it was like 49 cents. It was very affordable, and you got recipes, decorating ideas, interesting articles, etc., etc. I only have 3 Family Circle cookbooks, and these are all from, I think, 72. Let me make sure I'm telling y'all right. Yes, they're all from 72. So these have a bit different look. You know, we're not in the 50s anymore. So I have Illustrated Library of Cooking, Soups and Sandwiches. Y'all, I love me a good soup cookbook because I do enjoy soup. And then, of course, a dessert cookbook. But even in the 70s, y'all, I mean, how long has it been since you've seen somebody prepare a Jell-O ring? I personally love Jell-O. I would definitely do that. And there are also, one of the things I've noticed, some of these earlier cookbooks, there are a lot more fruit recipes. So if you're growing fruit on your homestead or you have a local place to purchase fruit, lots more ideas and ways to utilize that fruit. So I definitely enjoy having like a wide variety of cookbooks. And no cookbook discussion would be complete without talking about good old Betty. And yeah, I finally found my original 1950 Betty Crocker picture cookbook. Y'all, this is in kind of rough shape, as are a lot of mine. But it has meal planning and table service. It actually talks about how do you set the table. You don't really see that today. It has a section on nutrition, appetizers, beverages, quick breads, yeast spreads, cakes, frostings, cookies, desserts, eggs, meat and fish, pies, soups, supper dishes, vegetables, shortcuts. It talks about keeping an emergency shelf, menus chosen from prepared or partially prepared foods. So lots of really good information, y'all. I'm a big believer in we can learn a lot from history, and a lot of times things come full circle. So maybe in the 90s people didn't have, or the early 2000s, people didn't have emergency preparedness supplies. And I'm not going to generalize. I've always had some, but I've totally changed how I do things. People are also kind of going to a back to earth movement, a victory garden, growing their own food, keeping chickens, those type things. So a lot of these older books are very relative and relevant to today's life. My treasured book is my mom's 1955 Go to Housekeeping Picture Cookbook. This is absolutely fabulous. The reason I treasure it so much is because it was my mom's. Here's the table of contents. But what's really neat is my mom wrote a lot of recipes in here. There's just her different notes, and I will treasure this forever, and I will pass it on to my son when I'm no longer using it. Betty Crocker also did some really unique small books when those little, I'll say dedicated cookbooks came out, like, a fish book, a meat book, an egg book, whatsoever. And this I purchased from my beloved next door neighbor, Miss Sue, when she had her estate sale, and it is a cake and frosting mix cookbook. So this is a little bit different in that. Let me see if I can find I think I looked and I could not find it's a first edition. Y'all, I'm gonna have to get me some glasses. Copyright 1966. So when cake mixes and frosting mixes, and y'all, you didn't used to be able to buy frosting in a tub for you youngsters. It was powdered and you added stuff to it. But this has a lot of different things you can make from a cake mix instead of just baking a cake. So I purchased this from Sue basically because I wanted something that was hers. I mean, Sue's still living, don't get me wrong, and I have a couple things of Sue's. But she used to love to bake and make all sorts of things for Larry, who isn't with us any longer. And so I thought it would be fun to have. This is a fun one, y'all. So this, I can't remember all these copyright dates, y'all. Oh my gosh. Y'all, I'm going to go get my eyes checked up. I promise you I am. I mean, I'm going to be 62 next month, and it's not a wonder that I can't see up close. Yeah, because I can't. But this is, look at this. This is 1967. It is definitely a mid-century modern style house. Is that so cool? Here's the town, and it is the Hostess Cookbook. I might have purchased it because it matches my paint a little bit. Let me just tell you some of the things that are in here. Dinner parties. And y'all, okay, let me just say this. I'm just reading from the book. This is not a slam on anyone. I'm not making any comments about it, but this is the way that we talked in the 60s. So they have dinner parties, gay supper parties, easy little dinners, classic company dinners, buffet stuffers, plus company favorites, garnish grates, party ways with butter. Okay, I might have to look at that. After dinner coffees. Y'all, if you go buy a cookbook today, you're not going to find these type of things. And I love creating, I think it would be so fun to have a 1950s dinner party where everybody dresses retro, and I only serve retro dishes. Might have to do that. Bright little brunches and lunches. Teas and receptions. How long has it been since y'all been to a tea? I mean, I have tea and coffee with my girlfriends, but I'm like, I so need to do that. They have one section under the lunches and brunches. They have mixed foursome lunch, 2-table bridge luncheon. I mean, we don't play bridge anymore. I don't know how to play bridge, honestly. Next section is casual get-togethers, outdoors and in, especially for patio parties. They have a Malibu barbecue. Company favorites, spur of the moment dinners, the morning coffee break, come for dessert and coffee. I have got to leave this one out. Snacks at 5 or at midnight. And then happy holiday specials, which is New Year's buffet, Chinese style, Valentine luncheon, Easter Sunday brunch, Polynesian picnic for summer holidays, Halloween punch party, traditional Thanksgiving dinner, and Merry Christmas dinner. So let me just, okay, well, I guess we're closest to Valentine's Day, even though we're past. Look at that. The illustrations in this are absolutely the bomb. I was just going to see if I could, okay, here we go. How old is that grill? No Traeger there. So I would love to hear from you. A couple things. Out of all of these, what was your favorite cookbook? I really couldn't show them all to you, y'all, because we would still be here next week. And do you have a favorite cookbook not represented here that you would like to share with the group? We would love to hear. I know this video is a little bit short. I have so much going on right now, y'all. For those of you who asked, my soap making class went beautifully. I had 10 people. We had an absolute blast. Everybody got their soap made. It was really fun in that respect. I will say I was exhausted. I'm still a little exhausted. So I decided to give myself like an easy button for today and do like a simple sit down video, because I was on my feet for many hours, not only set up, but clean up, and the class, of course. So I will see you all a little bit later this week. I do have another Temu haul coming for you. I can't wait to share that with you. I have a garden planning video coming up as well, so lots of fun on the channel. Welcome to all my new, thank you to all my returning. If you would do me a favor, go ahead and smash that like button. If you know someone who has a cookbook obsession, share my video. It really does help out my channel. I will see you all a bit later this week, and until then, be healthy, be well, be blessed, take care.